Okay, as we head toward lunch here, we'd like to introduce Jeff DeGraff, Director of Corporate Relations and Media for Union Pacific Railroad. Jeff's the director of that, and he covers Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico. He's been with Union Pacific since July of 2014, and in his role as a public spokesperson, he shares how Union Pacific is working to help build America through its safe and efficient operations. They've been great supporters of our conference. We do welcome them. Jeff works with to educate individuals and communities on train safety and the impact of the rail industry on economic development. Jeff's a graduate of Louisiana State University. He lives in Houston with his wife and 3 kids. And they have an excellent safety program that Jeff is going to be talking with you about. Please welcome Jeff McGrath.
All right, well, I am the person that's standing between you and lunch. So I've got about an hour and a half presentation that I think we can get through. Certainly open to any questions along the way. We'll do some written feedback, and then we can get to, I'll make sure that we get to lunch in a timely manner. I'd like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to present to you all today. I'm glad to be here in this meeting with so many like-minded individuals. I'd also like to recognize my colleagues that have joined me as well. We have Dan Harback, who's our Director of Public Affairs here for North Texas, and Jerry Wilmuth from our network planning. We value, as a company, the interaction between our partners, our suppliers, our customers, and the communities that we serve. So opportunities to come and make these types of presentations and have these interactions are important for us. For Union Pacific, let's see, a little quicker. I have a beautiful presentation. There we go. All right. For Union Pacific, safety is a top priority. And as we've spent the morning talking today, we've talked a lot about growth and expansion and the utilization of railroad for both passenger and freight service. But with that growth and expansion, there also comes increased interactions and increased opportunities for unsafe behaviors and activities. So while we are all very excited and very hopeful for growth, we also have to realize there are risks that are associated with that. So with that in mind, we make sure at Union Pacific that safety is always a top priority. And we have what we call inside the company our total safety culture, in which every single person wants to make sure that every single person gets to go home that evening to see their families. So whether that's working in the yard or carrying crews from one stop to the next, or doing maintenance and work on our equipment and tracks, the idea is that everything that we do is with safety in mind so that our team members can get home safely and the communities that we serve are kept safe as well. So with that in mind, we look at safety in 3 different buckets. First, we look at safety that we can control. And that would be our employee numbers. Our employees are taught, and safety messages stressed to them. And that is something that we can control. You can see that we're being rather successful over the last 10-year period. Significant drop in reportable injuries. In fact, just yesterday we were able to announce our end-of-year 2015 safety numbers, and that number for 2015 has dropped again to 0.87. So that's something that we are very proud of. That is a record for us, and we hope to set another record. The next bucket is safety that we can mostly control, and that would be our derailment numbers. Now, there's a lot of work that we can put into our equipment, our operating practices, our human side of it, to try to prevent derailments as much as possible. But not everything in that bucket is within our control. I know many of you were paying attention this past year here in Texas, where the weather wreaked havoc on the rail industry. Between floods and washouts and wind, we saw derailments that were somewhat out of our control. But the parts that are in our control, we want to make sure that we're focusing on. And as you can see, those numbers have come down as well, 38%. For 2015, that number is 3.42. So a slight uptick from last year, which we can see was thanks to Mother Nature, not just here in Texas, but in other areas as well. But the downward trend is what we're looking at. And third, safety that we can't necessarily control, but that we can influence. And that's our public safety numbers. Grade crossings, pedestrians. Those are the individuals that are not within the Union Pacific company, but may have interactions with our railroad. So how can we get those safety numbers to come down as well? Well, fortunately, we have a downward trend on that as well, and in 2015, that number dropped again to 2.28, another number that we're very proud of. However, none of those numbers are zero, so there is still work left to be done. And today, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that last number, our public safety numbers. Now, all of us in here are involved in some shape or form with the rail industry. We deal with trains and tracks on an almost daily basis, for some of us hourly in some cases. So train safety and how to interact safely with the train and railroad track is top of mind for us because it's part of our daily lives. However, Union Pacific travels through 7,300 communities across the western United States. And there are individuals in those communities who have almost zero interaction with trains and railroad tracks. They may not cross a railroad track in their daily travels at all, except for maybe once in a blue moon. However, that once in a blue moon, if it's not done safely, can be tragic. So how do we reach out to those people who aren't involved in trains and railroads on a day-to-day basis? Well, previously, we've launched various public safety campaigns. In the past, our messaging and our mode of delivery has been what you could call traditional. We've employed billboards, radio commercials, and public safety announcements. We've also had mobile billboards, these billboards that we actually put on a flatbed truck and we can move around to areas of high traffic. And as you pointed out in the numbers in the previous slide, those tactics had some success, and we were able to bring those safety numbers down. But these are 2004 social media as just about your only means of getting information. That's the trend that we're seeing. Gone are the days where a radio advertisement would capture a large audience. How many of us listen to terrestrial radio on our way into work these days? Some. How many of us see people with the earbuds in, listening to a podcast or satellite radio or reading on their way in? Those numbers are shifting away. So if our only means of getting our safety messaging out are through outdated billboards or radio advertisements or newspapers, then we're missing the audience that needs it. So Union Pacific pulled together some research. Well, we worked with Pew and the research that they were able to do. And social media usage, and these are 2015 numbers. 93% of Americans ages 18 to 29 are on social media. 52% of adults use 2 or more social media sites. And it's more than just swapping recipes or catching up with friends. It has become a source of information for them. 63% of Twitter and Facebook users now say each platform serves as a source for news about events and issues, and that's where they're getting their information. So, if people are moving away from traditional media and into social media, then if we have an important message, then we need to move that direction as well. And that's what Union Pacific has begun to do. I'm very proud of that shift. Because I know, it's been discussed a couple of times that there are a lot of people from outside the industry that look at the railroad as outdated or old technology or just a relic from centuries past. But in addition to the innovation that we're seeing on the equipment side and operating, we are trying to be as innovative with our communication as well. We launched a campaign called Your Life is Worth the Wait. I don't know how many of you have been able to see this yet, but we launched it earlier in 2015. Now, putting it together, it started the same way that we would start one of our traditional campaigns. We put together some scripts, we put together some storyboard ideas. And essentially, it's a series of short vignettes focused at a rail crossing that tells real life stories of people that you can identify with, people that are like you and me, and how their everyday life doesn't necessarily include a railroad track, but in this instance, they find themselves at a track. Now, we shot it, we designed it so that it would play well with social media. And how do we do that? Well, we teamed up with a Texas advertising firm, the Bakery Group, out of Austin. We traveled down to Beaumont, Texas, where we were able to put this together. And we launched it in a unique way, something that was a departure for Union Pacific. We launched it purely on social media platforms. You will not see these commercials on television. We've distributed them through Facebook and more specifically YouTube. Now, how did we approach it with YouTube? Well, we kept the videos short. They're 45 seconds each. We also have even shorter ones that are 15 seconds. We put them in shareable content, and we also had sponsored ads that we put together on YouTube. One of the unique ways that we used it, when you buy ads on YouTube, if you go to YouTube to watch your cat video or, the latest music video from somebody else, they have that pre-roll advertisement that comes up first. We purchased ad space so that our video would pop up when people went to YouTube for just about anything else, so that our message was reaching a wide audience. Now, with YouTube and their financing structure, when they charge you for advertising, when you watch an ad and it says skip after 5 seconds, if you click that button and skip the ad after the first 5 seconds instead of watching the entire thing, you don't get charged for that ad. So we designed our ads in such a way that our message came up in that first 5 to 7 seconds, so that even if the viewer decides to skip the full-length ad, they still got the focus of our message. And we didn't have to pay for that entire ad, which allowed us to have a wider reach. We were able to spread our advertising dollar even further with YouTube. Let me let's see. I'm supposed to be the first out.
Technology, just keep on.
coming? 1 second. This was really not part of my stall tactic or anything. While they're getting that ready, one of the other things that I'll point out is, in addition to paying to place these ads to get our safety messaging out, we were also able to leverage other non-paid placement, if you will. When we decided that Beaumont would be an ideal location for the video shoot, we reached out to the local media in the area, and we said, Union Pacific is very proud of our relationship with our communities, and especially here in Texas and Beaumont, and we'll be filming some of our new safety videos here. We'd like for you to come out and join us and kind of get a behind-the-scenes look. So we had TV stations from Beaumont and surrounding area that came out to visit on the day of the shoot, and they were able to run stories on the evening news, thus giving additional exposure to our safety messaging, beyond what we were designing and planning for. You got it? All right. Here's one example. This is the short pre-roll that you would see before a YouTube video. And there's an accompanying soundtrack to it. Essentially, and I'll walk you through it. In this particular video, that man and that woman, they were on their way to meet the woman's parents because that man was about to propose to his girlfriend. And he was very excited and very nervous at the same time.
This is John and Lisa. John's about to pop the big question, but before getting on one knee, John does the most important thing today: stop and wait. He's not going to take chances with their future at a railroad crossing. And if we're being honest, he needs a moment before seeing Bill, Lisa's dad and a former boxer. They're on their way to his house where John plans to ask for Bill's blessing. Don't worry, John makes it out alive, Lisa says yes, and the biggest hurdles they encounter moving forward are his snoring and her taste in music. But we can talk about that more on their next walk. Your life is worth the wait.
So, a couple of things about that particular video, and we have a couple of others that have different stories to them, but they all kind of follow the same. One, it tells a relatable story. If you watch the entire commercial, you watch the entire piece, that's very relatable. And it's a real life scenario. But the message is your life is worth the wait. So please take a moment when you get to a railroad crossing. Don't try to get past it. Don't try to hurry. Your life is worth the wait. Now, on the technical side, as I mentioned, if you watch the first 5 to 7 seconds of that video, big letters, your life is worth the wait, has the visual of the two individuals waiting at the dropped arms. So even if you didn't want to sit through the whole thing, you got the message. And because it was well done, that is a piece that you could share. We've been very successful through Facebook. When those ads come up, individuals are able to see that and share it. Great message. Y'all should take a look at this. Repost it. It also helps with our interactions with our elected officials and other partners. You know, local communities have websites and they love putting up safety messages like that. That's a good video that they can just grab off of YouTube or grab off of Facebook and put it on their page. And they can share it. So they are educating their constituents and are also showing that they're concerned about safety as well. Now, quickly I'll move through this next section. But one of the things that using social media to get our message out allows us to do is to have a more targeted message. More than 500 people were killed walking or standing on railroad property. That number, again, is too high. Why? Why are so many people out on the tracks, just walking around and standing around? One of the things that we've found is there was an increase in a trend in railroad photography. Specifically, we were seeing a lot of high school seniors that were taking their senior portraits on tracks. For years, photographers have loved taking pictures on railroad tracks. They're usually in rural environments where, you have the trees and it's a clear line of sight. You get a good horizon and it's very picturesque. And with the increase in popularity of senior photos and photo shoots like that, we were seeing kids on our tracks with professional photographers. And unfortunately, we've seen horrible accidents as a result. Because a lot of people didn't have the understanding that, well, I don't see a train, and I'm sure I would hear one coming, and I could get out of the way of it. And that's one of the biggest myths out there as far as rail safety. So we needed to find a way to get that message out. So we started another campaign, again on social media. This time, because our target audience were high school kids and photographers, we made it a little different, not typical. These are animated. These are a little tongue-in-cheek. There's a little bit of an edge to them. And again, they're short and direct, and they play very well on social media where you can share them, post them, and move them around like that. Let's see if we get one of them to play. I don't want to spend too much time if we can't. In the first 2 weeks of the campaign, 656,000 Facebook impressions. 656,000 times our ad was seen by someone on Facebook. In the first week, 50,000 Twitter accounts shared a link to these ads. Why? Because it was easy to do, it was a good message, and it was important. So we were able to tap into the communities that we serve. Now, one of the best things we were able to do, because this was a targeted message, is we went to photographers. We went to the industry specifically and said, this is a problem. We need your help with it. And professional photographer associations and work groups responded, and they said, absolutely, we can get behind this. And they shared the content that we had put together. And they got the message out to their people. Photographers are not railroaders. They don't work in our industry. They may not think about trains or railroad tracks at all, except for maybe that one photo shoot that they think they want to put together. But they listen to their industry. And we told the industry, this is a message that needs to get out. Here are the materials that you can use to get this message out. And absolutely, it spread like wildfire. We had a lot of success and a lot of support from the industry, which helps us get the message and helps us decide, okay, next campaign, what is the next group that we want to target? We now have resources. We now have a way to target specific groups. We can produce content that is easily shareable, that they can get behind, and gets the message to them. So, most importantly, we are able to spread the message of railroading safety in a way that the audiences of 2015 and beyond are listening. We're going to them because it's a message that they need to hear. And we don't want to take the chance that maybe they'll see the billboard as they drive by. We don't want to take the chance that maybe they'll hear that radio ad. We want to get our message to them because safety is the most important priority for Union Pacific, and I'm sure for all of you as well. I abbreviated the presentation a little bit because I see lunch is ready. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Please, if you're not following us already on Facebook or Twitter, please go and do that. We have some great content, not just safety related, but operations as well, so that you can share that around so you can learn more about Union Pacific and the railroad, and that you can help educate others as well. Thank you.